I was never someone who was a fan of seafood, especially this type of seafood. I was open to fish and whatnot, but whenever I saw crabs or lobsters or mussels, oysters, and stuff like that, it was just something I was never into. And I guess that was something spiritual. And, I just didn't know. But in hindsight, based off of the knowledge, we understand that these things are not to be consumed by a human being. When you look at this bug on the right, this water bug, or what you would call an aquatic bug, water bug meaning like a bug that lives underwater, not an actual water bug like a land bug. I'm talking about bugs that live underwater, shrimp, crabs, lobster. Those are all bugs. They're aquatic bugs. They live underwater. They're scavengers. They take in waste. They do the same thing that a pig does. You know, we are only allowed to eat fish with fins and scales. Any sort of fish with fins and scales, not scallop fish, not shellfish. We are only to eat fish with fins and scales. When you look at a shrimp or you look at crabs and lobster and whatnot, we're not supposed to eat stuff like that because those are crustaceans. They take in waste. They're scavengers. It's no different than a land bug. That's why you have this comparison here, because it's pretty much the same thing. And we already understand certain people who eat these things, they have all these ailments. You're not supposed to eat this stuff. All these immune deficiencies and diseases that come from eating this food or this toxicity. It's not even food. These are aquatic bugs. You're not supposed to eat these things. You're only supposed to eat fish with fins and scales. And it's a reason why the Most High laid this out. It's not just, oh, he just chose these things and said you're not supposed to eat them. No, it's a reason why you're not supposed to eat these things. And we're going to get into it. Going into the understanding of the swine and whatnot, as well as certain land animals. But really emphasizing this just in regards to the understanding of crustaceans. We're not supposed to eat these things. They take in dead waste. Leviticus chapter 11, starting at verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Mashah, Moses, and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Yasha'Allah, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth, the animals. Whatsoever parteth the hoof and is cloven footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat. So when it comes to certain animals where you see their foot and you see a split in their foot, and they also chew the cud, meaning, they have multiple stomachs to where they digest from the first and regurgitate it. Those are animals that we can eat. So we already know, like cows, certain animals like deer, certain animals that fall under that category in regards to being cloven footed, meaning the split of the hooves in the foot, as well as chewing the cud. A pig doesn't chew the cud, so that's why it's not classified as an animal that's clean or kosher. Pigs are scavengers. They take in dead waste. They don't have multiple stomachs, so that's why they're not considered clean. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. So these things have to work simultaneously in regards to animals that's clean. They chew the cud as well as have cloven feet. He is unclean unto you. And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the swine being the pig. Right, we understand that pigs, they have cloven feet, but they don't chew the cud. They take in dead waste. They are scavengers. And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean unto you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, in the rivers, them shall ye eat. So just as we went over, we understand fins and scales are only allowed in regards to what we eat that's underwater. That's like fish with fins and scales. That's usually what we see and what we understand. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. So crabs, lobster, shrimp, oyster, that's all an abomination. We're not supposed to eat those things because those things take in dead waste. Those things take in things that cause, parasites and things like that. So it's not something we should be eating. And I understand, like salmon also can bring parasites, but it's more of a chance of you getting that based off of eating the shrimp and the lobster and whatnot, because of what they take in, what their job is in the water. They shall be even an abomination unto you. You should not eat of their flesh, but you shall have their carcass in abomination, their carcasses. Whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. Just as we gone through in regards to the understanding of the lobster, the shrimp, the crabs, the oyster, so on and so forth. Plankton. They are an abomination. The eagle and the and the ossifrage and the osprey. But I think no, we didn't skip. And the vulture and the kite after his kind, every raven after his kind. But just emphasizing the point in regards to the understanding. Fins and scales are what we are only allowed to eat in regards to what's under the waters. Fish with fins and scales, not shellfish. Sea creatures like crabs are bottom feeders because the ocean's floor acts as a massive nutrient-rich recycling center. They pretty much filter out the ocean. Crabs, lobster, shrimp, they all filter out the ocean. They act as scavengers for the ocean, just like omnivores on the land. Where they take in anything is the same thing with the bottom feeders. In aquatic ecosystems, dead matter, debris, and sinking organic material, often called marine snow, continuously drift downward. Creatures at the bottom evolve to scavenge this abundant food source. And it's not an abundant food source if we talk about debris. You wouldn't consider debris food, but anything could be considered debris. So I don't necessarily look at that as an abundant food source. You shouldn't be eating an animal that doesn't take in food, or that takes in more than just food. Pigs, bottom feeders, they take in anything. They take in waste. That's what they take in. They're like garbage compactors. Like, even when you break it down with this word omnivore, we know that omni means everything. Omni means all. And vor, it just goes back to the Latin, which means like vorar, which means to devour, to eat anything. So these animals are considered omnivores. They take in everything. They eat anything. So it says pigs are natural, non-discriminatory omnivores and opportunistic scavengers. They eat a wide variety of organic matter to survive. Their tendency to scavenge stems from evolutionary biology, the highly adapted anatomy, and an incredibly opportunistic approach to gathering vital nutrients. But the thing with pigs is they have one stomach. They have one way that they pretty much digest their food. So that alone, or that's a part of, why they would be considered forbidden. Only eating foods or animals that pretty much have multi-chambered stomachs. Consider them to chew the cud. Certain animals like cows, ox, so on and so forth. Biologically, omnivores in the wild vegetation dominates a pig's diet, but they require protein, insects, and carrion to thrive because they aren't strict herbivores, right? It shouldn't say they aren't strict herbivores. It should say that they're beyond the herbivores. This is the right way to word it because it's just letting you know that they're not limited to just eating, grass and whatnot or herbs. Because, certain animals like cows eat beef, it would say like grass fed. Let you know that this cow was raised in a certain way where it was limited and their diet required them just to eat like hay and grass and whatnot. Their bodies are wired to consume almost any available energy source. Right, and it's not limited to just food. They eat anything. They scavenge. They're trash compactors. The same thing, just like bottom feeders. So that's part of the reason why the Most High prohibits them, prohibits any sort of animal that's considered an omnivore, as well as being cloven-footed or not cloven-footed. If the animal isn't cloven-footed as well as chewing the cud, then we shouldn't be eating the animal. As simple as that. Also, carnivores, we know that we shouldn't be eating those either, like, bears and eagle, also a pig. Pig being an omnivore, not limited to a carnivore or a herbivore, just eating anything. So we shouldn't be eating things that eat anything. We should be eating animals that eat what's required in the scriptures in regards to chewing the cud, knowing that, certain cattle, for the most part, they eat on the grass and whatnot. They eat things that should be nutrient for us to eat. Biologically, pigs are monogastric omnivores, meaning they have one stomach with a single-chambered stomach, meaning they lack the complex multi-chambered digestive system of ruminants, like cows or sheep. Ruminants chewing the cud that is required to regurgitate and rechew food. So it's important for us to understand these things based off of the dietary law and the scriptures, and it's, something that we must take heed to.
Have you ever eaten deep fried grasshoppers before? I have, and it's so delicious. I was in my local market shopping for some goods, and then I saw this huge mountain of grasshoppers and I decided to buy some. They come with some yaji, which is a locally spiced pepper, and this you eat with the grasshoppers. Now this is what yaji looks like. I added that into a bowl and then got my crisp, delicious, crunchy grasshopper, pressed that in, and I really enjoyed it. This is so rich in protein.
So I just wanted to go into the fowls because I remember when I had this little issue with somebody that was in the camps where they was confusing creeping things for birds. And the scriptures clearly give you a distinction and let you know that the fowls are the fowls, which are birds, and the creeping things are talking about bugs, insects. That's what the creeping things is talking about. That's why I let you know after it lists off the creeping things that are allowed. It talks about the grasshopper and the locust. Those are allowed. We can eat grasshoppers. We can eat locusts. We just can't eat other things that are considered creeping things when it comes to insects like flies and moths and mosquitoes, so on and so forth. So that's what's considered creeping things. But just growing up, even when it lists the fowls that we shouldn't eat, we know that chicken isn't listed here because it's allowed. Just as, you read in Leviticus chapter 1, I believe that's the 14th verse where it talks about how they made the sacrifices with the turtle doves and whatnot and the pigeons. Those were domesticated birds, just like chicken and turkey. Those were domesticated around those times. So that's why it doesn't list it in the fowls in regards to what we shouldn't eat, because we know that we can eat those things. Just as it says here, starting in verse 13, Leviticus 11, and these are they which ye shall have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten, and they are an abomination: the eagle, and the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the vulture, and the kite after his kind, every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the night hawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gyre eagle, or guy eagle, and the stork, the heron after his kind, or her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. All fowls, we already know what came from a bat, allegedly. All fowls that creep, going upon all four, shall be an abomination unto you. Yet these may ye eat of everything flying, creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet to leap withal upon the earth. Even these of them ye may eat: the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. But all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you. So it's important for us to understand the distinction in what's allowed and what's prohibited.